You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 124. I'm going to do something a bit different actually because I put up a couple of questions, well, one on mine and one on the Small and Supercharged account, asking people what they wanted to know. And some people came with quite broad themes, which I will be talking about in future episodes. And I also just received quite a lot of questions about me. Well, not about me, but about how I got into what I do, etc. And I thought maybe I should cover these. So I've actually got 8 questions that I thought I might just cover in this podcast, and I really hope it helps. So if you've ever wanted to know anything like this, you're going to enjoy it. I don't know where to start really. Let's start here. Do you prefer working with small or large scale businesses? It's a really good question. I've done both. I enjoy both actually because they bring quite different challenges to the table. What I really enjoy though is I enjoy the connection with people. So what I tend to find with small businesses and with riders I work with and with influencers is that I get the connection with the person who it really makes a difference to. And I really enjoy that. So I really like when I work with the people that I mentor, for example, saying, okay, what we're looking at today, how we're going to do it, and then we plot how to do it, and then we do it. And it doesn't have to go through different kind of processes for sign off or, anything like that. I quite like the shortening that sort of curve, I guess, between this is the problem or this is the not problem, the project. How are we going to look at that? And we brainstorm, we come up with ideas, and we come up with solutions, and we come up with a marketing plan or a social media plan, and then that gets actioned, versus doing all of that and then it being kind of signed off by someone else who kind of says, yeah, that's not really what I was thinking at all. Because one of my real things is wasting time. I hate wasting time. So that winds me up. But I also love working with small businesses too, because the difference it makes. You can see, there's some amazing quotes out there. When you buy from a small business, someone does a happy dance, and I like that a lot. I like being able to help someone do that happy dance. I like being able to kind of lift the lid and say, okay, we can make this work. Come on, I'm going to help you. We're going to do it. We're in it together. And I really like that kind of camaraderie and that teamwork. So I guess actually, I do a lot more with small businesses now. I do a lot more with influencers and riders now. I do a lot less with large businesses, but I have done in the past. They both definitely bring different things to the table and there are different challenges. But I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go small. And by small, I'm talking about a business with under 50 employees. So I don't get me wrong, I really enjoy working with solopreneurs as well. But a small business, I'm not sure the definition. I think it might be 80 employees, it might be a small business. I probably need to look into that. But I'm going to say small. Who or what inspires you? Well, a few things. So I listen to podcasts, as you know, and I do online courses, I do online training. So I take massive inspiration from people who are ahead of me and I've got stuff to learn from, which is, there's a lot of people that I do that with. So I love Jasmine Star. I've got a lot of respect for her. I think she's incredible. I'm a big Amy Porterfield fan. I'm a Jenna Kutcher fan. I think what they're doing is insane and I love how they teach and I think that's brilliant. I think that I also get massive inspiration from my clients, and I know that sounds like such a, oh yeah, she's got to say that. I haven't at all. I can say exactly what I like, but each of them I know is so dedicated and so hardworking and put so much time, effort, blood, sweat and tears into building their brands, and the kind of grit these people show is just incredible. And I always am inspired by them, how they overcome their challenges, how they tackle things. And I'm lucky that obviously I work with a large handful of business owners on a kind of mentoring basis, but I work with more in Mastermind who I know a lot more about. And I also have the pleasure of working with people in the extra group. And seeing how all of them grow and develop and try new things and push themselves is massively inspiring. So I don't really take it from one source. Another thing as well, which has been really, really striking me lately, actually, and I'm not quite sure why, is that if I'm in a situation I'm not happy about, if I feel like I'm doing something that doesn't align with what I think is right, I am now thinking, what am I teaching my children about how you behave in life and business? So, which is, I mean, this is deep, we've gone deep, but there was something quite a while ago now, and I was very unhappy about it. And it was definitely quite a while ago now. But if that happened now, I would have made a much quicker decision, because I don't want the boys thinking that that's acceptable. And I think that that's quite, maybe it's not inspiring, maybe that's more motivating. But looking at situations going, yeah, I don't want them thinking that's okay, is quite a big thing for me at the moment, particularly. I think because they're 4, they're 4 now, they're just starting school, and I want them to kind of see me, I guess, as like, I think this is the thing as well. I want them to see me as someone who's kind of, kind and thoughtful, but also someone who is strong and knows their worth and will fight their corner and won't be, walked over and things like that. And I think that when we start to see, because I want the boys to see women, I mean, they obviously will, as like strong and powerful and fierce and all the good things. And I want them to also emulate those things. I want them to be kind. And I mean, they are. I'm very lucky. They're good boys. But I want them to be kind and think about things. But I also don't ever want them to be walked over and things like that. So I feel like with what I want them to either treat women as, or how I want them to treat women, but also how I want them to behave, I need to be showing that behaviour. So that's inspiring me a lot at the moment. That went deep, didn't it? Another question is, what would you do another Tedx talk on? And that's a really, really good subject. So when you, I don't know what you know about TEDx talks, so I'm just going to ramble, and I'm sorry if you think this is insulting. It's not the point of that at all. So when you apply for a TEDx talk, the TEDx, the particular TEDx you apply to has a theme. So I think that the TEDx Telford one I did was business not as usual, or something like that. It'd been really good if I'd have actually prepared this. Not business as usual. So basically taking the kind of standards and turning it on its head. And then what you do is you have to, when you pitch your talk idea, you make sure that your talk fits that theme. So the first one I did was, I don't even know what the theme for that one was. This is an exceptional podcast. But the first TEDx talk I did was about how social media has got the ability to unite rural communities. And actually, I work with an amazing lady called Jane Pike, who's Confident Rider, who's got the Confident Rider podcast. And she lives in New Zealand. And through obviously social media, I've connected with Jane. And through social media, Jane has connected to people all over the world. And we've found somebody in, I want to say Norway, who Jane works with, which is, of course, so many thousands of miles away from Jane. And I kind of loved that. And the second one I did was about the power of collaboration and working together, and the kind of how social media had a part to play in that. So for me, most of the stuff at the core comes back to a social media theme or idea. Not the technical aspect of it, because that's really not what the talk's about, but about something that social media is positive about. Because I just think social media gets such a bad reputation, and it doesn't need to. It's the people using it that give it the bad or the good reputation. The actual platform we have got access to is insane, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever. The fact we can do these things is amazing. And I feel sometimes a little bit like a one-woman crusade going, well, it's not social media's fault. But there's so much good in social media. And my next TEDx talk would be about something positive to do with social media, because I think that trolling and all the bad stuff that happens on social media just brings it down. And it's no need for it. It's not social media's fault some persons used it for the wrong reasons, but there are so many people using it for good, and that just gets overshadowed, and I don't like that. If you could change one thing about social media, what would it be? Kind of, it gets a bad reputation when it's trying its best. I think trolls would be the thing I would ban. I would make, if I was in charge of the world, thank God I'm not, I would make the kind of penalties on people who troll and are foul online much, much greater. I would want it to be so that when someone is trolling you, you could report it to an actual person and show what was going on. Because it is hard, and I understand why. There's over 2 billion people that use Facebook. They can't all have a direct line to Mark Zuckerberg, and I get that. God, I get that like you wouldn't believe. But to be able to say to someone, look, this is a situation, rather than going through a series of tick boxes, and then by the time you get to the end, you think, well, actually, that feels a bit severe. That isn't the word that I would have used. But, so a little while ago, I had death threats through social media. And I know people have also had, I know of others who have also had death threats through social media. If you want to see the dark side of social media, I would really recommend you go and have a listen to the podcast I recorded with Sam Callahan. It was quite harrowing in some ways, just to see what people have to put up with on social media, but also very inspiring. And I think Sam's just a hero, so, and the way he copes with it all. And actually, I think that when I had my death threat, actually having had that chat with Sam, I felt much more equipped to deal with it, rather than thinking, oh my God, it's awful. I kind of went, oh, that's not cool. What am I going to do about it? But I think that if I could change one thing, it would be to make people who troll, I would make sure they got they had kind of greater sanctions imposed, like they weren't ever able to start another account. I don't know how I would do that because I don't understand the tech of it all, but I would make it really harsh because I just don't think it's good. I've had a few incidences, friends of mine have had horrible incidences as well, and I'm just not good with it at all. It really upsets me. Not upsets me, I just think it's not on, and it's like standing up to the kind of bullies. I just feel that there should be a way you can stand up to them and take away their toy. You know, they want to kind of intimidate and traumatise people online. Well, take that away from them. Make sure they can't do it. Encourage them to go out and do something worthy with their lives. I'm actually going to do another podcast on trolling soon, with someone who's had a really tricky time, but has absolutely thrived. But that's a different... I've gone off on a tangent. I apologise. Okay, what's the one thing in your job that drives you absolutely bananas? Oh, if I get a tech fail. Oh, if I get a tech fail, I am evil. If my internet wobbles, honestly, I just turn into the devil. That drives me mad. Anything tech failure drives me mad. When stuff moves around, that annoys me. So I think we've all had it. If you ever place any things like Facebook ads, stuff moves and something that you knew was there has now been shifted somewhere. That winds me up a little bit. But not as much as a tech fail. A tech fail drives me mad. I guess the thing is as well that you're never finished. So I think with any of us who run social media platforms, whether I'm not Mark Zuckerberg, sorry, who run our own social media, it's never finished. There's always more you can do, and I think that is something that's quite draining because you kind of are not pushed towards, you do it to yourself, but you are very present online to the point that you can miss out on actually stuff in real life because there's always more to do. You know, they're always being sent. Well, not so much with me because I feel much more in control of that. But with clients, if I'm helping them or adminning accounts for them, you feel like you want to obviously deliver a service, but you also feel an obligation to do that a lot. So that can be out of hours. So there's always stuff to do, which is quite something really. The biggest learning curve in your job. Well, my job's changed quite a lot from when I first started doing this. So when I first started, about 15 years ago, about 15 years ago, it was all about PR. So I used to help clients, help brands with working with the press, the printed press, the more traditional press. So I would look at editorial features, I'd prepare press releases, I would submit products for tried and tested buyer's guides, I would do all of that. That's what I did. I did not do a lot with social media. But over time, that's just changed. So I guess my biggest learning curve has been social media, because from my original job when I did a bit of social to now when basically I advise, coach and use social media all the time, and we do talk about, more traditional marketing and PR and customer experience and all those kind of things, but a lot of the way we do things is I do talk about social media a lot. So I guess learning not just learning the basics of social as well. I've done blueprint certifications from Facebook, which have been really good and really interesting. I'm also a She Means Business accredited coach, so I haven't just done like a foundation level of learning on social media. I've really done quite a deep dive on it. So I've enjoyed it though. I do like learning. I think the biggest learning curve as well is dealing with people, which is something I don't think we always expect in our businesses, but dealing with people is most of the time is an absolute joy. But sometimes it's not, and having the kind of identifying it and that it's them and it's not you, and having the kind of oomph to say, yeah, it's not me, this isn't working for me, having to kind of deal with that sort of thing, and having to kind of understand people's objectives and how you're potentially being manipulated. There's a lot more, I guess, the psychology behind it, but that's social definitely outweighs that one. What do you look for in a client? I had a thing on my wall which was basically how many post-it notes have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I don't know, a number of post-it notes, at least 8, with words on. And I work with people who fit these. So one of them is innovative. I'm not really interested. If people are just, doing the same thing day in, day out, don't want to innovate, don't want to grow, probably not the right people for me. Break the mould. I'm not people who are kind of copying others and walking in their shadow. I'm not the right person to work with for that. I want people who are going to push themselves, break the mould, like try new things. I like people who embrace challenges, because there are so many of those in business. You cannot be losing your mind every time one comes over your way. The noise is me literally peeling off the post-it notes. Who want to improve and get better. I think that's a really key trait in any business person, to want to see what they're doing now and going, amazing, what can we do better? How can we improve what we're doing? I'm always doing that in my business. That's why I do so much learning, so much education, push myself all the time. I want to improve and I want to get better, and I want to see that in people that I'm working with as well. I want people who are happy to be part of like a team with me, which sounds a bit of a weird one, but I want people who I feel like I'm in it together with the clients I work with, particularly with my mentoring clients and with Mastermind. I feel like we're in it together. So if they have got a problem, I want to help them fix it. So that kind of team mentality is important. I want them to be authentic. I am far too old and far too time-strapped to be dealing with people who are two different people. Cannot be doing with that at all. Waste so much time. Can't be doing with that. I want my clients to inspire delight in me and their customers. And that's important. And that's like the whole process. I want people who, everyone I work with now, they're trying to deliver something really good, whether it's a service or a product. They want to thrill and delight their customers. They're not happy being mediocre. They want to, and they wouldn't ever be mediocre because they've got that inbuilt mindset. They want to kind of go bigger, better, and more amazing. And I love that. And I've got respect as well. I need to respect them and they need to respect me. And if that breaks down, no one's going to win, really, because it's really important to have that mutual respect and that mutual trust. And if that goes, or if that isn't there, it's really difficult moving forward. So there are a few things I look for in a client. And the last question, I really hope you found this interesting. It's not just me whittering on about me. But in my defence, I was asked all of these things. The last one is how you start on your career path. This is a bit of a long story, but I'm going to kind of only just show you the highlights because we've all got lives to lead. So at school, I was like a textbook high achiever, like a kind of straight A student. And I enjoyed school. I found it quite challenging in some ways, but what I really loved was my passion for horses. So I God, 2-3 times a week after school, even when I was doing GCSEs and stuff, I'd go to the stables and help out. I really wanted a horse. I really wanted to be a better rider. I really wanted to teach people how to ride. I was never very brave. So like cross country on my own horse, or a horse I trusted, I loved, but I didn't enjoy cross country on a horse I hadn't sat on before, or one I thought was possibly going to deck me. It was not really my idea of a good laugh, so I would never be like brave enough to get to the top. But I enjoyed dressage very much, and I loved the training, and I loved the teaching and everything like that. So after school, I went to work at an event yard, and it was great, and it was hard. It was hard work, but it was really good. I learned a lot. I became a BHS qualified, or PTC it's called, so that's your preliminary teaching certification. And I also clocked my 500 hours teaching practice, but I referred to point one about being a bit of a wimp jumping, and I didn't ever take my stage 3 because the jumping really unnerved me. I did a lot of training around it, and I could do what was required on horses that I knew, and I did it at work a lot, but I was not happy doing it on a horse I had only just sat on before, so I didn't ever take it. So I did that, but actually because I had my PTC qualification, it might be called something different now, I went to work at a riding school, and from that I was freelance, and I taught quite a lot of people, children and adults, and I also rode and schooled people's horses for them and would hack them out and exercise them, and that was quite good fun. But through kind of doing that, I was always quite good at writing. At school, I was your A-star English kid, and I started writing for a magazine around riding and tips and tricks and teaching and that kind of thing. And that sort of developed more into doing a bit of copywriting for businesses because, whether that was web copy or something like that. And then that kind of developed into doing PR, because if you can write it and you've got the contacts with the magazines and you know what features are going on, you can do PR because, you've got those contacts and you're making it work. And that kind of grew and grew until I didn't ride or teach anymore. I just did that and rode my own horse. And I think I taught a couple of people, but I really focused in on the PR and marketing side of things. And I got to work for some, obviously this grew, I'd say this is definitely the short version. This grew over quite a time, and then I was actually asked if I was offered a job as a marketing manager for quite a big equestrian company, not a million miles from my house, and I took that job, and it was fab. I learned loads. I was there for about 2 years, but I decided that I preferred working for myself, so I went back to being freelance. And then since I've done that, obviously what I do has changed massively. When I do a lot more with social now, and also I do a lot more teaching now. I do a lot more coaching. I guest lecture now at three universities. Obviously, when we haven't got coronavirus. I have given various talks, like I've given 2 Tedx talks, and I've given 2 online talks for some big conferences, which has been great. I work with, different universities still. I mentor through one university. So it's kind of continued to evolve and grow. And now I spend most of my time mentoring small businesses. I work with a handful of small businesses that I mentor now, which is exciting. Obviously recording the podcast. And I also do quite a bit of teaching through the She Means business system, which is one by Enterprise Nation, that I'm an accredited trainer for, and the mastermind and extra groups, because I feel like we can do so much ourselves, but what we can lack sometimes is the knowledge or even the confidence to do it. And if you have knowledge, you're likely to get the confidence, but I feel like they really do work hand in hand. So I wanted to be able to help people do that, and I'm really, really thrilled. I really get that kind of kick and that buzz from when I see people who work hard and deserve good things do well. So for me, working with the groups is amazing because I get to kind of reach more people and I get to help them that way. So thank you for those questions. I've got some other ones I can make into kind of standalone podcasts, not about me, about subjects, but they were all about me. And I thought, well, if you want to know about them, I'm happy to share. But as they all came through, I thought, in for a penny. So I hope you found that useful. I really do. If anything I've said resonated with you, I would love to know about it. And I'd love to know if you're listening. So please do screenshot, please share to stories, and please tag me. If you want to know more about the Small and Supercharged Mastermind or Extra Group, if you pop on over to my website, these are basically 2 levels of group. Mastermind is kind of like a business development group as well. We have a live a week. We have a mindset masterclass each month. We have a marketing masterclass each month. There's a social media critique for one member each month that gets published in the group. There's free stock imagery, and I put opportunities in there. And there's also an extra group, which is really cool. And each month there's a cheat sheet. There is a challenge. There's a monthly live. There's an incredible community. And I also pop in 5 social media themes that you can use whenever you like. So I hope that's helped, and I'd love you to find out more about that. That's on riafreemanpr.co.uk, or feel free to send me a DM and I will ping you the links with more information. Thank you so much for listening today. I've loved chatting to you as always. I hope you find it interesting. It's a bit word that's been quite self-indulgent, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch up really, really soon. Take care.